Hi there, I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts, and welcome to my crafty little channel. Today we're going to do a market recap for the largest market that I have ever participated in. If you are new here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here either way. I focus on crochet plushies and crochet tools and accessories for crocheters. I have my shop linked in the description below, where you can find all of my crafty tools, stitch markers, amigurumi sticks, hand-painted safety eyes. I have some plushies on my Etsy shop. I also share a lot of the links of my favorite materials and supplies that I use for my markets and for my business, so you can check that link out if you'd like more details around that, as well as the patterns that I am going to be talking to today. Let's go ahead and jump into this recap of the Mistletoe Market that I participated in this past weekend in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, so the Mistletoe Market is a market held at a local high school in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. It's in like the very tippy top of Raleigh / border of Wake Forest. And it is the largest fundraising event that this school, Wakefield High School, puts on for the entire year. So how it works, it's a juried entry. It opens up in July. And I think the entry is only open for a couple of days, where you can submit your application, photos, descriptions of your work, and you hear back about a month and a half later to find out if you got in. It's a very competitive market to get into. The fees to participate are generally pretty low / reasonable for this area, especially considering all that comes with the event, which we'll get into. A lot of the vendors that participate do this market every year. And so if you are entering the market in a space where it's already maybe saturated with vendors of those type of items, you may have a hard time getting into the market. So their Facebook group is very active, and there is a lot of chatter within that group about, hey, I keep applying, I'm not getting in, what can I do? And a lot of times they reply that, we just don't have spaces for these type of goods anymore. Just keep applying, and when we do have space, maybe you'll get in, or other ways to differentiate yourself in order to get into it. So I was actually pretty surprised when I did get into this market. Granted, I did receive a message from the organizer saying, hey, we already have a lot of crocheters, but I see that you mentioned that you have crochet tools and items for crocheters. Can you tell me more about that? So I shared some details around those items and said, I completely understand if you are fully booked with crocheters, but if I participate selling my crochet tools and things like that, I still would like to have crochet plushies available as well, because the crochet tools and accessories are not enough to sustain a booth, in my opinion. It's still a fairly new space that I am taking up within my market booth. And it's just not a saturated enough space to specifically have tools that are mainly used by crochet amigurumi makers. So I was thrilled when I got into the market. I got into the Tinseltown area, which they have a couple of hallway loops within the school, and this is one of them, and it's just tables that line one side of the hallway, and the hallway is like a big U. So it wraps around center classrooms and other rooms in between. So I got a space in the Tinseltown area, and I don't actually know how many areas there are specifically. I would say, based on the application and what I'm recalling of it, there's probably about 6 to 8 of them. There's a big outdoor space, which was a bit of a gamble for this weekend in particular, because there was rain that took place the evening before the event and the evening of the event, but it was dry event day, and the forecast all week was saying it was going to rain on Saturday. So that was a little dicey, but they ended up having perfect weather for this event. And then I know there was a large gym / cafeteria. There was a small gym. There were at least 2 of the U-shaped sections, and I think there was at least two more indoor sections. I just never saw them because the school was massive. And I only ever saw the small gym because that's where I came in to load on event day. So huge market. And I heard from many attendees that came in, as well as a couple friends that I bumped into that happened to be shopping the event. There was like a crazy line to get into this event. Parking was difficult, just a lot of demand to enter the space. My camera keeps like zooming out randomly after recording for a few minutes, so sorry if this is a little disjointed. It keeps doing it when I'm like mid-thought. But anyways, so I was in the Tinseltown area, which was one of the two U-shaped spaces. And I believe there was only one section at the front of these U spaces that had the raffle items. So as part of this event too, when you're filling out your application and acceptance note, essentially, you have to confirm whether or not you're going to donate anything for a raffle. Of course, I was like, yes, I will absolutely donate things because, again, if one, happy to support the school, and two, if it will increase my odds of getting in, happy to do that. Also, it will be, getting my name out there, especially for the crochet tools and things like that. So the Tinseltown area that I was in was the area where they had all of the raffle baskets, or at least the large majority of them. But I think that was like something that helped draw people into the space, but there was definitely a lack of understanding, I think, from many of the attendees, even of like how big this event was. There were so many people that walked through our aisle, and I was kind of towards the end of the aisle before it hit the back wall and then looped around. And they'd be like, oh, at the end of the aisle. And the people at the end would be like, nope, it keeps going, like just loop around. So, yeah, just so many people commenting on like, wow, there's so many vendors. There are over 200 vendors that participate in this. So it's a huge market. All right, let's talk about some of the details of the market itself then. I got into the market. When I was accepted into the market, I was able to request a 6-foot or 8-foot table and 2 chairs. Those were all included in the admission fee. For Tinseltown, it was $105 for my booth. Again, this is a complete donation to the school ultimately, so I'm totally fine with that, as well as the fact that that's kind of the average / lower end almost of markets that I participated in the Raleigh area. A lot of the major organizers in this space are, I'd say probably 110 up through like 160 plus dollars for their booth fees. So it didn't hurt too much to pay that amount, knowing what else I'd be competing with. And knowing that this is just a massive event in this area. It is held year after year. People look forward to this. It draws the local community, obviously the families from students in the area also come. I bumped into so many friends who do not have children that attend this school, but they're like, oh yeah, we do this market every year. It's this huge event. It's my shopping day to kind of kick off the holiday season. So it's a really cool event, and I love that it brings out so many makers. I do know that there were a lot of other crocheters. I just never saw them, except for one who was just around the corner on the other side of my U. They did have some plushies. I never caught their name or what their booth name was or anything. We smiled and waved, but I was solo this weekend at my booth, and so I just could not step away long enough to actually even look at anything. I knew Chester and Pearl was down at the entrance to my row, which was really cool. I was able to pick up some goodies from them, which I will share in some of my market footage. But beyond that, I never saw any real aspect of this event because I was pretty much trapped at my booth the entire weekend. So the event setup started for Tinseltown in particular. I think the only area that was not set up on Friday night was the outside area. But my event setup was Friday night, starting I think at 4 o'clock. I got there with a friend of mine around 5:30. One of my girlfriends came with me to help me set up, which was so wonderful. I had picked the 8-foot table that came with it. I said I didn't need a chair because I have my higher chair that I generally bring. This way I'm kind of more eye level with people rather than them like looking down and me straining to see them. So there was already a table for me. It was indoors. I didn't need a tent. It was a 15-foot space, and that space was essentially just 15 foot long. Yes, it came out a little, but barely. Like me having space to sit behind my table, it was tight. So I could have possibly had additional furniture if I wanted to, but it was going to be challenging. So what I did bring, I had the 8-foot table that they provided, and then I brought my grid wall that I recently got and debuted at my last market. So you can check out that market video if you'd like to see more about that grid wall, but you'll obviously see it in this footage. And then I brought one of my collapsible rolling bookcases or shelving stands. I could have fit a second shelving stand. I just at that point decided not to bring more because, again, being set up by myself, everything was already pretty crowded within my 15-foot row. I didn't want to just deal with the hassle of more stuff. Only having that amount of furniture to bring, though, was fantastic when it came time to pack and everything. I did not have to stress about, how I was going to kind of Jenga the car to fit everything into it. That always happens when I have my tent, my checkout stand, my 2 bookcases, all of the furniture. Because they gave the 8-foot table, I was pretty set beyond the bookcase and that grid wall. So that's the furniture that I brought. And I did not bring my grid cubes that I have been bringing to recent markets because I just had that 8-foot table and the bookcases. It seemed unnecessary. I actually just kind of went back to my old crate setup. So I had crates stacked up and used that to bring vertical height to the table. So that really did make setup and breakdown incredibly easy. That being said, I have never left or set up the night before an event and then left things overnight to then kick off the event. I've just never been to an event that had that as an option. They've all been, you set up the morning of, you are at your booth the entire time, and then you pack everything up and leave. So I wasn't really sure how I felt about leaving everything at the event. So I decided I was just going to set up the kind of bones of my booth, the tent, the crates, the bookcases, all of that stuff, but I was not going to actually bring my product until the next day. Part of this also was just I was really busy. It had been a really busy week, and I didn't feel like I needed to add another layer of complexity into like how I was going to bring stuff to the event, how I was going to fit everything in the car, if I wanted to like second guess anything I was bringing. And I was also still frantically making things, of course, because that is how I roll. So my girlfriend and I came and set up. They had you pull everything out of your car, park your car, and then come and bring it all inside. But what was fantastic, they had student volunteers and every rolling cart option that they could find within this school. So there was just a stream of students that were waiting at the loading area. They had the rolling carts and were like, how can I help you get to your booth area? So my girlfriend and I unloaded the car, grabbed a student, put all of the stuff on the carts that we had brought as well as what they had. And I parked the car, came back, and we went and set up the booth. It was so fantastic having that. It was, again, set up in a hallway, so it was a very narrow space, and other vendors are trying to like get in to set up. I'd say there were probably about 10 vendors on my side of the row. Then the back there was nothing, and then 10 vendors the other way. So there was just a lot of people coming in and out. And there was always also a door at the end of where my row was. So like people were kind of entering and exiting the building from there. So it was just a bit chaotic. Overall, I think it took about an hour for my girlfriend and I to set up, just finding the space, chatting with the people around us. And getting everything in place. After that, came home and spent the night doing some more crochet, packing up as much as I could for the next day to where I wouldn't stress quite as much, and went to bed. I, of course, could not sleep because I was thinking of all the things that I wanted to get done, needed to get done, and woke up way too early the next morning. The market started at 9 a.m. I got there at 7 a.m. and I think the doors opened. The doors technically opened because they did have outside setup going on, I think at 5:45 a.m. I was not there that early, but I was there at 7 a.m. and this place is almost half an hour away from me. So it was an early morning, and the market went from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So it was also a very long day. But yeah, I showed up and it was just myself. I put out all of my plushies. I had my 2 rolling carts. Well, so I had my wagon and I had my Holkin within the wagon. And then I had my like collapsible cart.
Hello.
I set up all of my plushies, and while I was setting up, you know, just a lot of people kind of chit-chatting as they're setting up, and some of the other vendors starting to look around and shop. Even though I got there at 7 a.m., and I was only setting up plushies, it still took me the full 2 hours to really complete my setup. I just was not used to working with that kind of space constraint. I also really wanted to emphasize my crochet tools, so I was trying to figure out a good way to have that on display. So I took every moment of the 2 hours really to get set up. They did also provide breakfast, which was wonderful because I, again, was so stressed leaving the house that I pretty much just ran out the door with coffee in hand, and that was it. So they had fruit and granola bars and muffins, and other like little snacks, things like that you could grab, juices. And then throughout the event, students would come by with rolling carts with snacks and fruits and waters and various beverages. So that was amazing, especially because I was at the booth by myself and was pretty much just constrained to being solo the whole time. The student volunteers were really fantastic. I still did have the issue of just, I was there from 7 a.m. till pretty much 5:30 p.m. by the time all was said and done with packing. So I was a little stressed about how I was going to like run to the restroom at any point, but luckily I did actually have a few instances where friends popped by. So it was unexpected, and I did not know they were attending, nor did they know that I was going to be there, but I just saw familiar faces shopping, and they were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you did this market. And I was like, I don't normally, but I'm here this time. So I did have a friend that actually watched my booth for me at one point because I was like, I really just have to like pee. Sorry. So that was great. And I gave those friends discounts too for anything that they ended up buying because I was like, you were a lifesaver. I was stranded. And then my friend that actually came and helped me set up the night before came to shop with her daughter. She was going to grab me lunch while she was there. Again, it was completely unexpected that she was there. She kind of surprised me with that. She was going to grab me some food, but she had to run home for an emergency. But honestly, those kids with the snacks, like that sustained me the entire time. The event itself. Let's go ahead and just jump into the market day and take a look at some of the footage, and then we'll talk through it. Good morning. It is market morning for the Wakefield Mistletoe Market. This market has over 200 vendors participating. I came last night to set up my space. I just set up my tabletop display and everything like that, but this morning I'm here to put out all of the plushies and everything. So let's take a look at what I've got here. I just grabbed some breakfast. They are providing some breakfast foods for the vendors. I need to move my cart really quick. 1 second. Oh, no, I don't. They're here. Okay, let's look at the booth. This is my setup. It is 15 feet across. And all of my plushies are here.
Are you all set up or do you need help?
I'm good. I just need to put my stuff out. Thank you. So yeah, this is my spot. I'm in this hallway. My area is called Tinseltown. And yeah, I'm feeling generally pretty good about it. I did as much as I could in terms of plushie prep. So I'll see if I can film some of this, but it's a narrow space.
Truth is, for 2020 you were acting funny. I never let her hurt somebody more. At the end of the day, I was never out to get you. You left me better off, hope you found what you're looking for. You were always fighting in the van and quitting mid-tour. Never taking any blame like you were perfect, oh Lord. You're still the same, people don't change, and I couldn't take much more. Think before you speak out loud, cause you talk too much laying on your couch. And I'm better off, better off, better off. Hurts that you know you're too late now, but you talk too much and you love the sound. Think I'm better off, better off, better off. We used to hang out every day, we had each other. By January I could feel the tension building more. I tried my best to not hold anything against you. You tried your best to cut me out and start another war. And I'm better off, better off, better off. Hurts that you know you're too late now, but you talk too much and you love the sound. Think I'm better off, better off, better
All right, I'm all set up. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough in a second, but overall it went pretty well. I'm feeling good about my spot. I do have music playing right next to me, so we'll see if that causes any issues today. I did do some shopping with Chester and Pearl. Really quick show what I got. I got some kickers. So she is actually just down the road from me. So these are some gifts for friends. All right, let's take a look at the boots. Sorry. All right, I realized my microphone may not have been on before, but as I was saying, I did some shopping with Chester and Pearl. I'm all set up. Here is my new display for crochet tools and little gadgets. These are the newest items I have. Then I have my drink sleeves. Swing buddies. I actually already had a sale this morning. Someone got the baby hippopotamus for a stocking stuffer. So a very different setup from what I normally have, but I was working with a very different space. Okay, hopefully I can use this because of the music, but if I can't, I guess this will be a voiceover. Little behind the scenes. I have my Hulkin. I have some extra display items that I ultimately didn't need. This is my chair. It's a little chaotic, but I'm going to clear it off in a minute. I forgot. I have a couple items that I made this week that are new, so I'll try to get pictures of them to better display them. I still have to price them and put them out, but starting with this silly goose from AQ Crochets. Grainy by Nature has been making this, and it's had me in a chokehold. I had to make it. So I made it out of Naughty Pony yarn, and I love it. It's so cute. I'm going to put it next to my other silly goose. Another pattern I made from AQ Crochets is this adorable little penguin. I made 2 of them, and I used Premier Parfait for these. And I love how they turned out, and I'm going to display them with the little green guy dolls that I have and the seal, both of those being Madeline Mako patterns. And then last but not least, I made the splooting fox. I think he is so cute. This is Snuggle Beans crochet pattern. I wanted to do the deer too. I actually got the pattern bundle pack after being on a live with Heather and Robin the other night, Knotting Hook Crochet and Cottontail Crafts with Heather. And they were raving about the deer pattern, and I wanted to make that, but if you've been here before, you know my youngest is obsessed with foxes. So I had to start with the fox, and I just didn't have time to make the deer this go round. So I'm gonna get these tagged and put out on my table because the market starts in 5 minutes. Perfect, we got a little dino.
Bessie. Thank you. I was like, I sometimes I see something. So you go here, guys. That's not what we're getting.
Down you go. Wait, they're both
Right, that was $32. You can tap it. I know, she's got different kinds. Like, she's got lots of them. Okay, you can just put it right there.
Oh yeah.
All right, and I'm texting your receipt to you. Perfect, thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Hi there. Did you go to Panic Point this year?
Actually, it is this year.
Yeah, I've never been, but I don't know if I can handle it. I have a love-hate relationship. Thank you.
Midnight crochet. I keep seeing stuff like that could be the equipment just but just don't
Well, if you get rid of crochet stuff,
Why would you do that?
exactly, because she has too many hobbies.
Is there such a thing? I have a lot of hobbies.
Well, it takes over your house. Well, and she used to be able to say that crafting was cheaper than therapy. It's not there anymore. It's more. It works better than therapy. Well, this is true.
I agree. I agree.
She got an owl too. So you got an owl and a
I say that this is my stress reliever, and I'm clearly very stressed. So.
That is absolutely adorable. That is the cutest.
My child is obsessed with foxes, so I feel like I have to
Foxes and
always do.
owls.
Yep,
So,
I got
and it
owls here
started-
too.
I noticed. It started early because when I did, back when you still had to take home ec in school,
Yeah.
in junior high school, we, instead of making a shirt, we all got to pick a pattern for a stuffed animal. I know.
Wow.
It was really cool.
That's
And I
also
made a-
very ambitious.
And I made a fox.
I love that.
Yeah.
My son had a teacher named Miss Fox, and that just set the trajectory.
$45.
So,
Really adorable.
I do love him.
yeah.
I think if you're good and you don't spend too much money on
And
other
he's
things,
still here when I come back.
you need to give yourself.
I just finished him yesterday, actually. He was one of the
I'm
latest
gonna take
and
the
greatest.
card,
Yes.
in case he's gone and I still want him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can always message me.
Yeah, foxes and owls and hedgehogs. Apparently, I was born in the
I made a hedgehog, and it was a labor of love because, you know, it's got a lot of stuff on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, it was cute.
yeah.
It looks like that. The dragons. Very cute. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi there.
We got a couple of things outside. I'll give you a little bell when we get in the car.
The axolotl. Okay, perfect.
Which one do you want?
Do you want to? Okay, axolotl. Oh, you okay? All right, that is $25.
I have a bag here.
Oh, perfect. There you go. Enjoy.
Okay, here.
Thank you.
Need to have these two guys.
I love it. The Plague Doctor is my husband's favorite. Okay, so we've got a Plague Doctor and the Green Dragon. Okay, and you can tap when you're ready. It's $57. All right, thank you very much. Enjoy. So it seems to kind of go in waves. We're in a hallway that loops around, and there's like surges of people that come from one way, and then every once in a while a group trickles through the other side. So I'm just making some mushroom pops, table and canvas pattern, because I was all out of the red and white ones. Had some good sales, but overall just a lot of people looking at the moment.
And then I discovered milkshakes. So here.
Hello. Hi.
Anybody not be happy walking by?
I try to do things that make me happy, so.
I'm so glad. So I started doing English paper piecing. Do you know
Ooh,
what this is?
I don't.
Basically, you cut hexagon fabric
Okay.
with a seam allowance.
Okay.
And then you have paper that's a little smaller,
Yeah.
1.5 quarter-inch around.
Yeah.
And then you like glue them, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you sew them together and you create these hexagons. Well, I do it while I'm watching TV.
Yep.
So you have to have the thread, the hexagons, the paper, the glue,
Yep.
the clips, the needles. I'm like, I wonder if I have a bag. I wonder. What woman is like, oh, I don't know. How many makeup bags do you get?
I
from
mean, but can you ever have too many?
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. This is a bag for my eyes specifically, so I was like, of course I have to have an, it's a Taylor Swift quote.
It's not. So my bag
Yeah.
has a rainbow on it and says, I hope I have enough confidence of a mediocre white man.
I love that.
Look at the freaking law.
I crochet.
Especially since my friend Katie's going to come over and teach you.
Well, I have tools for when you learn how to crochet, so.
I made a snowman. That's as far
Oh,
as
that's
I got.
amazing. Yeah. You just got to start somewhere.
Still had my little mouse from the
It's an emotional support pineapple.
Hi there.
You don't have a German Shepherd, do you?
I don't. I know. I at one point had one because my dog looks like a German Shepherd too, so I had to.
The grand dog is a German Shepherd.
Oh.
Totoro Boba. Boba tea.
How long does it take you to
Boba
make something this size?
That guy's probably 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I'm envious. Trying to learn how to do that magic circle thing.
Oh yeah. Well, it also depends on the yarn. Doing magic circle in this is hit or miss. So sometimes you have to kind of find different techniques or ways to work around it.
Is that a slide?
So, oh, little slot? Okay. Okay. We got a little cookie mouse.
I don't need a bag.
Okay.
I want a lot more, but I'm trying to show the restraint since we just started.
I understand. Okay, hold on one second. Let me. There it is.
Just little swing buddies. That's cute.
Oh, the chicken cake.
All right, so $16 out of 20. A little snack. Okay, there you go. And let me get you your change.
One day I'll have grandkids and then I won't have to show restraint.
I mean, like you said, when your daughter comes over and just takes stuff, then it's like, I guess I have to replenish it.
Yeah, my other daughter's at home now, so she'll definitely want to.
Yeah. All right, $4. This is somewhat
Thank you
pretty.
for beautiful work.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. That was the small cookie mouse from the Notting Hook crochet pattern. So I have two. I have one large and one small. All right, it's been a few hours since my last check-in, but hello. How are you doing today? Nice. Doing well, thank you. I finished another little penguin. Here we go. I did this one in a size 5 hook by accident, so it's a little bit bigger than my other, but still super cute. It's a great conversation starter with people as they were walking by or shopping. Yeah, it's been pretty good. A lot of foot traffic, a lot of looking. I've had a few friends that I've bumped into that I didn't know came to this market, so that's been fun. But we'll check in a little bit. All right, gonna go put this one out. Do a little check-in. This basket's pretty empty.
She's the one that called me and asked me to post it and trying to ask me to
Haven't sold a ton of swing buddies, but rats and snakes have been a hit. Need to clean up a little bit, it looks like.
level as them. Good stuff. And you can get paid the same, which is so not true because they had just started out like not even a year in or 2 months in. She wanted to make sure before we got
All right, opossum ready to go out on the shelf. This little guy will be $10.
Can you make it back by yourself?
All right, market's done. Packing up. It's been a long day, but a good one. I will be back for the recap. Bye. Okay, so the event itself, it opened at 9 and there was kind of that lull. Like everyone knew at 9 o'clock doors opened, but they were going to have to get to the various areas from the entrance. So there was maybe 10 minutes before we started to see people come through. And then it was like the floodgates opened. People were just surging into the hallway. It was a constant, steady stream of traffic for really the first couple hours, I'd say. After that, it definitely started to slow down, but the first 2 hours were crazy in terms of the amount of people that walked past the booth. How many people stopped at the booth is another story, but in general, there was a lot of people, especially at the beginning of the event. I did, as the day progressed, see quite a few people carrying crochet items already, or people saying, oh yeah, like there's been a lot of crochet vendors. I didn't know that you were here. I thought I was done with the market, and then I discovered this other hallway. I've already bought XYZ, like, you know, things like that, which totally makes sense. Again, 200 vendors. I have no idea how many other crocheters there were. And I'd say that the stuff that I saw was not similar to mine, really. Just different types of yarns being used, different styles. The person around the corner had some lovely stuff that was maybe a little bit more similar in their plushie department, but they also had a lot of wearables. But I don't feel like that was really an issue. I just think the market was huge. And a lot of people, it seemed like, go there for specific things. Like, I do this market every year and I stocked up on all of my spices and seasonings. I heard that quite a few times. Or, you know, they're looking for specific vendors that they're looking for each time that they go to this market. So it was nice kind of being a part of that experience. And it was just like a fun environment overall. There was music playing for the first few hours, and at some point it just stopped and never came back on, which was fine. It was a little overstimulating for a while between the music and the crowds. Just tons of people everywhere all at once. I did have Wi-Fi, which was awesome because Wi-Fi was not given or shared the details for it, but it turns out that all of the schools in Wake County, which is the county that I'm in, and I have the Wi-Fi for my children's school because I am part of the book fair committee, of course, why not? They all apparently have the same Wi-Fi system and password. So I was thrilled when I opened my devices when I got to the school and it was like, you're connected to the internet. I was like, oh, well, that's great, because I was stressing about how I was going to have hotspot and how that was going to work because I was inside a school building, and normally the signal in the schools is not great. So I had Wi-Fi, so I never had issues with my register or checkout or anything like that. I definitely felt like not a lot of people were buying or spending freely. And that, I'm not just saying that because, again, like I have crochet plushies and things like that where it is very much not a necessity. And, you know, people would be mostly buying for gifts or things like that. But it's not something where they're like, I have to have XYZ, or this was on my list, I was looking for this. But other vendors that had been there before were saying, yeah, this is nothing like last year. Last year was crazy. this year there's a lot of people looking, there's not a lot of people shopping. And with that, a lot of new vendors, which I happen to be surrounded by quite a few new vendors. The vendor to the left of me, actually, I think the vendors two to the left of me, as well as all the vendors to the right of me, had never done the event before. And they were like, oh my gosh, we were so excited to get in. This is why we were stuck in a back hallway, because we're new, which again, I totally get and I'm fine with. I was thrilled to have any spot that they could offer. But they all said they were new vendors. And I'd say that they generally had kind of varying levels of success, but all of them said that they thought that it was going to be a better market, just based on everything they'd heard previously and other markets that they had done this holiday season. So I do think that there's a lot going on around that to explain why people would not be spending as much money right now. So yeah, it definitely felt like people were shopping on a tighter budget this season, and things that normally would have flown off the shelves. It's so hard. You just never know. Like, I have markets where I cannot keep certain things in stock. And then there's markets like this one where I sold one. And so, you know, you can do all the prep in the world, but sometimes it's really just going to matter on what people are looking for that day, what they're in the mood to spend money for, what other vendors might be selling that maybe are similar. So with that, let's get into the specifics of what I sold and what I didn't, because there's some interesting details with that. All right, going through what sold in no particular order. Again, I don't know how this is sorted, but we're going to go through it. So I had a few items that I sold that were not in my system, either because I did not have time to input them because I had just made them right beforehand, forgot to put them in when I did make them recently. I will try to put pictures of the items that sold in or on the screen if I have them. I'm trying to get better about that. I've actually started a folder where I'm trying to keep track of all of the photos that I have, so it's easier for me to like grab and pop them into my videos for recaps and things like that. So bear with me as I get that caught up. But for the time being, there's also some items I just didn't have pictures of because I had just made it and like threw it out on the table. So the items that were just a dollar amount in the system and not tracked in here, first of all was, I think it's Fen the Fox. That is a Snuggle Beans crochet pattern. And I had just made that the night before. I had just made it, finished it the night before, put it right smack in the center of my table because it looks so cute. I don't even know if I have a picture of it, but hopefully you could see it in the video footage of the table. It got so much attention. It was a beautiful, beautiful little fox plushie. And so of course it sold. It sold for $45, and I had a couple people that were like, if that is still here when I come back, I'm getting it. And ultimately it was someone that left, and I saw them walking down the hallway. They're like, I can't stop thinking about it. I had to get it. So that's who Fen the Fox went home with. And I just was so happy that it went to a loving home. And it was an adult. It was not for a kid. It was for an adult that loves foxes. So my youngest child will be thrilled to know that those people exist and are out there, because he is a child that loves foxes and has for years. It is his obsession, and I hope it doesn't end because it's very sweet. But yeah, so Fen the Fox sold for $45. I made 2 cookie mice, which is a knotting hook crochet pattern. I made one in Premier Parfait and said never again, and I made one then in Elise Veludo and said yes, I will make it in Elise Veludo going forward. So I sold the small one first. That one was $16, and then I sold the Elise Veludo one for $20. I have another market tomorrow as of the time of my filming this, and I have yet to make another one, but I'm hoping to make at least one of those for the market tomorrow. If anything, I will have them in stock for my book fair market at the end of this month. But that was definitely a hit, and so many people were so excited to see the little cookie mouse. I sold one Chonky Bee for $14, and I sold a Lucky Cat stitch marker for $2.50. I sold one other thing for $16, but I have no idea what it was, and I could not think of it day of the event when I realized there was an item that was unaccounted for that was $16. I have no idea what it was, but I sold it. So there was something else in there. All right, then getting into other things that I sold. I sold one set of my hook size tags. I sold one of my marshmallow Atori Sama plushies. I only had one of them, and I'd had that for a few markets, but generally the mushroom guys go pretty fast. I've sold a Totoro and No Face one before as well, and that was the second time I'd made the Atori Sama, so I was excited that sold, and I would love to make more, but that'll probably be a New Year project. I sold my Plague Doctor. I love when the Plague Doctor sells. I have sold, I think, 3 of them now over the last year. So it's not a big seller, but it's a fun item. Oh, I should say what things are selling for. The Plague Doctor was $40. Atori Sama was $25, and the hook size tags are $8 in person. They're $8.50 on my Etsy shop because of the Etsy fees. I sold 1 out of 1 axolotl. That was $25. I sold 1 bear holding a bee, and that was $30, I believe, or maybe it was $28. All of these patterns, again, will be linked in my website in the description below, so you can check out those items within there. And if I know the name of the designer as I'm rambling these off, I'll share that. I sold 1 small Brontosaurus from the Crochet Grove pattern. That was $20, and I only had 1 left. I had 2 of them previously, but 1 had sold. I sold 1 chicken egg. It was the last one that I had. That was the Oak and Marlowe pattern, and that was $10. I did have a lot of people asking about them because I do have my chicken coop sign that says chicks and eggs, and after that one sold, I had none left. I sold 1 of my chubby owls for $25. I'd come into the market with 4 of them. That normally flies off the shelf. Again, people just weren't buying this time. I had a lot of people comment on it, but just one purchased, and that was a solid white one. The other 3 that I have are like the speckled white, which normally people are fine either way, but I think the solid white one usually goes first. All right, I sold 3 chunky chickens. That is the Oak and Marlowe Mabel pattern. I sold 1 loaf kitten. I still have some loaf cats and kittens left over in my inventory, and I haven't been putting them out because I'd kind of swapped them out with other patterns. But this time I was just trying to go with tried and true classics and go through inventory that I had that I wanted to sell. So I sold the loaf kitten. It had a black nose on it, and I want to say it was like a speckled white cat too. And the person asked me if I could put on a pink nose while I was there. And I was like, yeah, I have pink yarn on me. So I did. They said it matched their cat exactly. So the only thing that was different was the pink nose. So they were thrilled to get the little loaf kitten with the pink nose. And that was $14. I sold 1 mushroom sprite. This was actually the last sale of my night. But again, this isn't in any particular order. That mushroom sprite was $30, and the mom that was buying it, she had just been there with her family, and she had a daughter that was a little bit older that was really excited about everything at the booth, but had picked out an item and walked away with the dad, and the mom was like, I need to get this mushroom sprite, but I need to do it in a way that she will not see it. So my bags that I have at my markets are like a frosted clear bag, but I have been bringing paper bags for moments like this. So I had a paper bag, I shoved it in there, I put the bag on the vendor next to me's table as she was looking at their table, shopping them, because she was like, she's looking, and I was like, she will not know. We are going to do this as discreetly as possible. So she was able to get the mushroom sprite. I sold 3 of my small snakes. Those are from the Zazulia pattern. I still have a few of them left. I think I came into the market with 6 of them, but people love those snakes, and then I put them in the little adoption kit, and I get really excited about them. I sold 1 splooting cat. That is the Avalon Crochet pattern, and it was the black cat that sold with a red ribbon. I sold 1 mushroom mouse house. It's a little like mushroom house with a mouse that you can store in it. I sold one mushroom pop. I believe it was a red one because that's usually what sells. I sold 2 of my drink sleeves. One of them was a K-pop Demon Hunter themed one. I think it was the one that has Rumi on it. And then the other one was just like a coffee one. I sold one of my Hook and Notion kits. That's the new kit that I brought to this event. And it was $14, and I actually sold to one of my friends that came. Her daughter has just started crocheting, and so she got that so she could hold all of her like crochet hooks and stuff, which is exactly what it was intended for. It's very similar to the bag I carry around. This one happens to have a Taylor Swift quote on it, and it's also what stores all of my eyes. So this bag's a little bit bigger, but it has all of my eyes that I take with me when I'm like out and about crocheting, and then I also put in my hooks and little notions. So I love this bag. The Hook and Notion kits got a ton of attention though. It was like perfectly eye level display at my booth, and one of the bags that I had on display said Yarned and Dangerous, and I'd say that I heard people commenting on that bag every 30 minutes or so. Like, look at this, Yarned and Dangerous. You know, it just got lots of attention. I was constantly hearing people talk about it. And in the raffle item that I donated to the event, I had amigurumi sticks, stitch markers, safety eye installers, safety eyes. I had the Hook and Notion kit. I had a couple people come by the booth saying, oh my gosh, this is the booth that has all of like the tools that's in that raffle kit. I put my tickets in to win that kit. So that was really fun to hear that people were like excited for that. I sold a pair of stitch markers. I surprisingly didn't write down what pair that was. I think it was, I want to say it was like a Totoro one. I sold a insect investigator kit of the caterpillar and of the spider that actually went to a different friend that I bumped into there that I had not expected to see. I sold one alligator. My insect kits are $10. The alligator was $12. I sold one bitty axolotl for $12. That was a plushie that I had left over from the summer that I just hadn't been putting out, and I put it out on the table and it went. I sold one fuzzy capybara for $12. I had 4 of them, but just one sold. I sold one pineapple for $10. I sold 2 of my little flower blossoms. That's the pattern from Stitches by Patty. It's funny because I didn't really sell those in the spring. I brought them to markets and people just weren't into them or like were picking other things, but I've sold so many of them in the fall, and it's like sunflowers, daisies, tulips. So I generally sell a couple of them each time I've brought them, and I've just had them in a display basket with other flowers and like my potted plants and stuff. And yeah, so those are, if I didn't say, I sell those for $12 each. I sold one kitty adoption kit. I only had one. It was a white cat, and that was $15. I sold one mini hippo. This was actually the first item that I sold, and I sold it to another vendor. She came to my booth and she was like, I am looking for a hippopotamus. And I showed her the 2 big hippos that I had. Big. They're still, I think they're $16. It's not a huge pattern. But she was like, oh, I was looking for something a little smaller. And I was like, I actually do have one tiny little hippo that I made because I had made it recently, and I had talked about it in a previous video of like, do I bundle this with like the big hippo and the little hippo? I hadn't put it out. It was in one of my bags. I had not seen it as I was setting up, but I was like, I'm sure it's in one of these bags. She was like, I will buy that if you have it. So I dug through the bags and I had it. It was $6. So she bought that and was very excited about it. She said her son loves the I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas song, and she's never been able to give him a hippopotamus toy for Christmas. And so he, like a grown man, but she was like, I've never been able to deliver on that, but we have kind of this silly thing that we do at the beginning of Christmas where we all swap gifts, and I want to give him a hippopotamus. So she was going to put that in his stocking. I sold one penguin, and just because I just made another one since the market. I can show you. This is the pattern from AQ Crochets. I had just made it the night before, and I sold one in the black and gray just like that one. So I made another one while I was at the market. I sold one positive pickle. Positive pickles normally fly off the shelf. I had a lot of people commenting on them. Just sold one, $10. I sold one puppy adoption kit. I had two, just sold the one at $15. Sold two rat adoption kits. People love the rats. Those are $15 each. I sold my Nessie plushie for $35. I have not been putting Nessie out recently because it's kind of hard to display in the way my booth had been set up recently, but I love my Nessie plushie. So I was like, I really want to put it out this time. So I did. And this little toddler saw it, and like the family left, they came back and they're like, we are here for Nessie. And, you know, they gave it to their toddler, who immediately like put it in its mouth. And they were like, do you want something else? And he was like, Nessie. And that just made my heart so happy. So that was $35. I sold my sitting Highland Cow Snuggly for $60. That one is kind of a showstopper piece. Like, it pulls people in. It's adorable and beautiful. And it was the highest price item that I sold at the market, which I feel like kind of says a lot about this market. Like, it just, normally I would sell a few items at kind of that price range, and it just wasn't happening that day, but it's fine. It was great to see that go to a good home though, because that is just a popular item, and it always kind of like validates, yes, this is an item people really like when I sell it. I sold 3 of my small dragons that I had just replenished. I think I just made 5 of them. So I sold 3, and they were all ones that I just replenished. I sold a green, blue, and purple one. So the bright colors are still the first to go. I have a couple left, so I'm going to try and make at least 1 or 2 more for my market tomorrow. I sold a mushroom and tree stitch marker pair, the bee and honeycomb stitch marker pair, and squirrel and acorn. Those are each $5. I sold 1 swing duck, 1 swing penguin, 1 swing spider, and 1 swing sugar glider. All of those sell for $13 each. So, getting into the totals. I had a total of 44 transactions and 50 items sold. That is not bad by any means. I did think I would have more transactions at this, and I had thought I would sell a lot more of the lower priced items just because it was a school, and I thought maybe people would be buying things for stocking stuffers. But there was definitely a period of at least an hour where it was dead. Like, there was no one walking down that hallway. And then it picked up again for kind of the last 30 minutes, but there was a solid hour of just no traffic. And then before that, it was kind of just slow. So I don't know, like I said, a lot of the vendors that had been there before said, this is nothing like last year. Last year was crazy start to finish, and people were spending like crazy last year. This year, not so much. So it was not as good as I thought it would be, but it was still a good market. And yes, I would definitely apply to do it again next year, but it just was kind of interesting how it all played out. And I'd be curious to see if I got a different spot next year, if that made a difference. The organizer did come through and talk to each of the vendors, introduced herself to the new ones, asked everyone how the market was going, how like they felt their sales had been, and it was a lot of people saying it felt like sales were slower this year. I did talk to her briefly about, thank you for letting me in. She was like, yeah, it's just tough. There's a lot of crocheters, and it's hard because you can't reject someone who's been coming 10 years in a row. And I was like, absolutely not. And if I was that person coming 10 years in a row, I would not want to be rejected either. So I really appreciate that I was admitted into the market and that I had the chance. So I hope I have that chance again next year. But we'll see, and we'll see how, if I do, it goes next year. But Overall, I had a total in card transactions of $669.50. Cash transactions, there were quite a few cash transactions. Those were $230. My fees were $22.06. Discounts that I gave, again, to my friend that came and helped me set up, as well as my friend that helped when I needed to step away from the booth for a second. $8. Tax was $58.89. So that left a total from this, not taking out booth fees and everything, of $810.55. When you take out the booth fees, it's going to be a little over $700. So I think that that was a very good day. Breaking it down hourly, being there from the market open to close hours of 9 to 4:30, it's definitely not as productive as my markets generally are, but again, still like a great market amount. So I am happy with it. I think that market was a success. I would have liked having my husband there to help so that I could at least like go look around for a little bit and have lunch, or at least have lunch at the table. But he was taking our kids to tennis events. It was a tennis tournament for the end of the fall season. And thankfully, one of my kids did win the tournament on that Saturday. So Sunday I got to watch them play and they won the tournament as a whole. But that will probably be part of my next video. So anyways, it was a good day. The average sale was $19.10, which is definitely lower than my usual average sale is. I think my average sales are normally around $27 to $29. But one thing I do want to call out, if you have been here before, and if not, for the month of November, I am donating 10% of all of my sales from my Etsy shop, from my events, all of that, to Backpack Buddies, which is a local organization that helps provide food security to kids from the time they leave school to the time they're back at school. So it gives them food when they're at home and on weekends. So I will be donating from this market $82 of my sales. $82 is going to be donated. Again, that's going to be, I'm going to do a tally after each market. I'll say how much it is for the 10% of the sales. I'm generally rounding up. As well as at the end of the month, I will share what the grand total is that I will be donating, hopefully writing a nice big check to Backpack Buddies of the Raleigh Triangle area. And yeah, I'm really excited to be able to do that and grateful that I can do that. But that'll be combined with my Etsy sales and everything else. So stay tuned for my videos for that information. That being said, we can go ahead and wrap this up, but I have another market tomorrow. So I am filming this later than I normally would for when I do my market recaps. I actually normally film them the day after the market, but I was so overwhelmed with the amount of stuff I had to do to get ready for my next market, which is, this market was on a Saturday. My next market is on a Wednesday, which is very weird, but it's at my job, my day job. They host a craft market every year, this time of year, and it is a $0 entry fee. Oh my gosh. And it's just during the workday. So I have that market tomorrow, and there were things that I definitely wanted to have for that market that I didn't necessarily have ready even for this last market, in addition to things that I might have sold at this last market, like the Highland cow. So I wanted to get that stuff done. And it pretty much meant that with everything else I needed to do and packing up orders for my Etsy shop, because I am running a sale for the month of November, I'm doing 15% off on my Etsy shop because it's my birthday month. So I also wanted to celebrate by offering a higher than normal discount on my Etsy shop. So that meant that I had quite a few orders that I had to catch up on. So it had just been a crazy weekend. I am not filming this until Tuesday. And I have a lot I need to make before this market tomorrow still. And I have to figure out what I'm going to bring, because tomorrow's market, I only get a 6-foot table. But this market that I'm participating in tomorrow was my largest selling, or market with the largest sales that I had last year. So I am very excited to see how this one goes. And my work, craft market, has just been amazing in the sense that it's one, a lot of people I work with, but two, just the excitement and appreciation they have for the talents of the people that work at the company is really exciting. So it's nice to see what everyone else is coming to bring and what kind of stuff they do in their free time and their crafts, and then also getting to like share what I make with them. So I am excited for that, and will hopefully be recording that recap much sooner than this recap. But this is going to be kind of a double video week for everyone. So if you like this kind of content, and if you'd like to see how that market goes, as well as follow the totals for sales for this month, get that grand total of what the donation will be at the end of November, then stick around, hit that like button and subscribe. If you do the little bell next to the subscribe as well, it will notify you when new videos come out, which I have been finding YouTube recently is not showing a lot of my subscriptions. It's like every once in a while I'll see someone come up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen a video from them in a while. I thought I subscribed. And I look and I do. It's just not coming to my normal feed. So I don't know what's going on with that. But the way to make sure that you see the videos is by hitting that bell button. So I've been doing that more and more with the videos that I watch so that I'm not missing out on them based on whatever the algorithm feels like sharing for that day. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for sticking around. And if you did, let's drop the little shopping bag emoji into the chat. And I will talk to you soon with another market recap. Bye.